Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the Not to Talk About podcast. Back again, of course, but before all, we always start by asking how you are, Tom. So, how are you, brother?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm feeling good. Enjoyed last night. Obviously, at the time of recording, we're one night after the EFL Trophy game. Something a bit different. And I know we're going to talk about that and what's the game at the weekend. But overall, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm sound, mate. I'm sound. I'm glad you're good too. But obviously, I can't come on here anymore and say you unbeaten Magpies, which is a shame. But we'll get into that prior to the Burton Albion win. So obviously, Saturday just gone. Gillingham at home. We lose 1-0, but obviously, it would have been Notts County if it weren't a little bit controversial. But before we dive into, their proper details, let me just get your overall thoughts.
Yeah, well, firstly, I think that it's nice to come on here and talk about it after a win. I think that changes the framing of it because straight after the game, it feels like it's the end of the world. Like you say, we can't say we're unbeaten anymore. Not top of the table anymore. So you feel like everything's crumbling. But a bit of perspective, it's one game against a very good team. I think, like I said on the last week's episode on the preview, we've played some okay teams so far, but I think Gillingham were the first really good team we played. And by that, I don't think they were amazing. I'm not sitting there saying, they're a really good side. They played us off the park. We had the better chances overall, but they're a team that knows how to win. They've got a lot of winners in their squad. Got a manager who's a winner at the level. So I think that it's a difficult one to sort of assess because it's a 1-0 loss. It's a game that on another day, decision goes our way, which it should do. We get something out of it. We take a chance that we should have taken. We get something out of it. So, yeah, it's a disappointing result. I'm not too fussed about the performance. Thought we played okay. And I think what's really nice is we've got that little cushion. We've had a good start, and like I say, it's a good side. They've beaten some good teams this season as well. So let's not take too much disheartening away from it. I think it's a different story if this then sets off a run of 2 or 3 losses, but already we've bounced back with a win. And I think that's what's nice about coming on here and recording. And whilst we're going to talk about that competition later on, and it's not my favourite competition by any stretch of the imagination, it has given us a really nice chance to just put that game at the weekend behind us and look forwards because, yeah, it's disappointing, but it's only one game out of 46 and we're still looking all right.
Exactly, man. Exactly. But, we can't just sit here and say, oh, we're disappointed. We know what we do on this podcast. We go through the ins and outs. And let's start really by, obviously you say we had a lot of chances. Let's talk about some of them. For me, you have to really start with the Nick Sharula post chance, which for me is I'd probably say the worst miss of them all, if I'm going to be completely honest, because Jody has the shot edge of the box, keeper parries it into the path of Nick Sharula, and by the time it's reached Sharula's left foot, the keeper's still halfway on the ground, and to hit the post from there for me is, well, it's borderline inexcusable, but I just want to get your thoughts on that, my friend.
Yeah, mate, I think you're right. I think he's got to score. I know we say that a lot in football. He's got to score, but he does have to score. How far out is he? 3 yards, something like that. It's you're very close in. Maybe that's worked against him. It's come at him quite quickly. It's a fairly tight angle, but end of the day, you expect any player on that pitch to score that, let alone a player who is known for his attacking prowess. And yeah, he's simply got to put that in the back of the net. I think Jody deserves praise. Another sign from that right hand side that he's getting more comfortable and confident coming in on that right and getting shots away. And I think if he continues to play there, we're going to see that more and more. It's exciting. I think we'll see goals from that position, and we should have seen a goal from that. Really good strike, forces a save. That's where the chance comes. Then it's you can't call Jody to chance because it's a shot from quite far out. But Nick Sharula, he's got to finish it. I think he'll be the most disappointed with it, of course. But you have to mention it because at the end of the day, you score that, it's 0-0. You score that goal and you 1-0 up. And as we saw, as we mentioned, Gillingham haven't scored many away from home. They've still only scored 2 now, one against us and one against Morecambe. So if we go 1-0 up in that game, you're probably getting at least a point, if not all 3. So yeah, you've got to score. Huge moment, and disappointing mainly that he hasn't found the back of the net.
That's the thing, mate. That's the thing for me. Obviously, that's at a point where we go 1-0 up in that game, and you change the whole image of the game at that point. You change the bigger picture is the fact that you're the one in the league now, and I always feel, especially with the defence that we have this season, we're much more suited to going ahead than behind. But again, I say that with a bit of pinch of salt, obviously given the Bromley turnaround and the Fleetwood turnaround as well. But obviously the turnaround should have happened. Obviously, we had a few more, big misses in between. Schroeder, even prior to that, volleyed one over the bar. George Abbott had his chance. Jody had his chance. On a different day, you're looking at maybe 3 or 4-1. But obviously, it weren't meant to be on Saturday. However, there was a goal that was wrongfully ruled out when you look at it, and for me, I don't know how much you can sit here and say the officials have a hard job, because although they do have a difficult job, they do get away with a lot as well, and they've got away with a massive one here. Because even I was saying, mate, after the game to everyone who was asking me, like, they will get away with that. They'll get put on a game at the weekend. They probably got put on a game last night, but we ain't going to get that point back. That point at the end of the season could be a difference between an automatic spot and a playoff spot, or a playoff spot and not playoff spot, which is tough to think about at the minute. But yeah, Sam Austin scores what is a perfectly legal goal. Like, you can't say it's not. Everyone's seen the footage back. But yeah, difficult one to take, and I'm sure you have your thoughts on that.
Yeah, firstly, I want to say that I hate coming on and blaming referees. It's such an easy thing to do from the terraces, be like, oh, we would have won today if the referee hadn't said that or done that, given that decision. And I do think they even out over the course of the season, but we have the right to feel aggrieved about that one. It's a huge moment. He's got it wrong, like you say, unequivocally. You watch it back, the footage doesn't lie. It's a legal goal. But I think the point for me, which is the most disappointing thing to take away from it, is the amount of time it took for the decision to be made. If you watch it back, the camera zooms in on Sam Austin as he's celebrating, because it's like, if you watch the game back, you should get the full replays on the Notts website. If you watch it back, it zooms in on Sam Austin, and he's like you do after a goal. That's how long it's taken. They've had a chance to actually zoom in on him and pick out who scored, and then the decision's brought back. You can't stand there thinking about it for 10, 15 seconds, because it should be based on what you've... Of course, you think about decisions, right? And referees have to think sometimes and process things, but there's a point where you've processed it that long that you no longer now know what you've actually seen. If you waited 10, 15 seconds after, how can you be sure after 10, 15 seconds that it is off? And it wasn't. So at the end of the day, the decision is wrong, and I think that the amount of time taken to make that decision plays a huge factor in that. I think if his split second decision isn't, his gut instinct clearly isn't, he's off, because he keeps his flag down for ages. So for me, it's poor. Like you say, they will be on a game, which again, I understand everyone makes mistakes. Like, if a player makes a mistake, like Nick Cerullo made a mistake in that game, didn't score, and obviously he'll play next weekend. So I'm not suggesting that the ref or the linesman shouldn't be on another game, but some sort of, I want to say apology, but just if more openness was made around things, and more, we got it wrong, and that's it. They put a statement out, we got that wrong, can only apologise. I know that then they get criticism saying, oh, you got it wrong, and apology means nothing. Like you say, we won't get the point back, etc. But it does feel like these decisions happen, especially at this level, way more than they should. And at the end of the day, we've got ourselves to blame, because Nick Cerullis has scored, maybe we get something out of the game, and other chances we had and things like that. But ultimately, we have put the ball in the back of the net in a legal way, and that should be 1-1. And who knows, maybe we push on and win it. I don't want to say that we do, but obviously we have a couple more chances later on. So they've let us down at the end of the day. And it should have been 1-1. But I don't want to sit here and be moaning about it and because Gillingham, they got 3 points, so fair play to them, and it's not their fault that the referee got it wrong or anything like that, or the linesman got it wrong. I just think that the decision took too long to make. And I think when you kind of can tell when a decision takes that long, that something they might not be sure 100%. If you're not sure 100%, how can you give the decision one way or the other? So, yeah, for me, let us down, but we can't blame that as a sole moment for not getting a point or three, but it definitely is a big moment in the game.
For me, it was just complete guesswork. That's what it looked like from the angle I had of it, because the goal's one of them where you kind of suspect someone might have been offside, especially when two players are kind of challenging for the same ball. But he's, like you said, he's waited so long to put his flag up, and it's almost like he's. Well, it's not almost like he's just not sure, and he's put his flag up. No, that is what has happened. He's not sure, and for me, if you're not entirely sure about a decision, you've just got to let it go. At the end of the day, if it's offside, it's offside. But then again, you could say the same if it's the other way around. And we've definitely had our luck with referees this season, especially in that Grimsby game as well. So, I mean, you can feel aggrieved all we like, but at the end of the day, they obviously do even themselves out. It's not even just the offside goal as well. It was the Giovanni Brown, penalty shout, which I didn't have a very good angle of because I was looking at the back of the defender, but the people at the Kop said it was stone wall. And then you obviously have the disallowed goal, where if both go for you, you've got a chance to make it 2-1. So it's one of them, mate. On a different day, you walk out with 3 points, but it weren't meant to be. And the thing that's disappointed me most, and I'm sure it would have been for you as well, was the fact that we've made such a good start to the season, and if we were going to get beaten, I'd prefer to have been well beaten by, not well beaten in terms of scoreline, but well beaten by a side that proper came, or we went there and they had proper outplayers, outclassed us. But in the reality is now, no matter how good Gillingham were, and I'm not taking anything away from them, they're a good side. They defend very well, and the stats don't lie. But the ultimate bigger picture now is we're automatically going to look back at the Gillingham game as a game that was defined by referee and linesman decisions that cost us our unbeaten run. And again, I like to make the points, and I like to ask you for your thoughts. So again, Tom, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, mate. Difficult, really, to add too much more in terms of like you say, we've had some fortune this season, so they're not perfect. Of course, we understand that referees and linesmen make mistakes. I think that's where the sort of the hard bit to take is that a mistake can cost you, and we understand that. And over the season, it will definitely benefit us in games as well. Don't get me wrong, but it still doesn't make it any easier when you've come away, like you say, lost an unbeaten record. When yet again we've found a way to get back in the game. I guess the remedy to it is to stop having to chase games, because it's happened. Like maybe we pushed our luck one too many times with Gillingham, like having to find a late goal yet again. Not especially at Meadow Lane. Obviously, Fleetwood was late. This game was late, and again, we could easily walked away from both games with nothing. Obviously, got that late goal against Fleetwood, but say they hadn't given us the decision for the penalty. Talking referee decisions, then we're looking at 2 games where we've picked up 0 points, and you'd be really disappointed. So, I guess the remedy from what we can do from our own the factors that we can control as a football club is stop trailing. But at the end of the day, it's yet again great fight being shown by the boys, great character. Sam Austin as well, I think, deserves a lot of praise for his performances over the last week or so. Denied of a goal. And the group are showing great fight, great character. And almost you've got to take that referee decision and let it spark a little bit of like extra fight and motivation in us, and kind of make sure that we're not relying on the late decision again. Let's make sure we're 2-3-0 up. So if we score late on, okay, yeah, we're 3-0 up. Oh, it doesn't matter now. It's 4-0, but it's given offside. Use it as motivation to try and right that. But obviously, like you say, it's disappointing, and we should be sat here talking about a draw and still be unbeaten. But that's the way football goes sometimes, isn't it?
100%, mate. 100%. But I think no matter how how much we speak about that game, it doesn't make it any less disappointing, no matter how much you try and, soften the blow. Like I said, the only thing you can really look back on now is, the performance levels were there, I believe. Like you said, the fight that was shown once again to get back into the game was there. Now, obviously, we should have done, but obviously it was ruled out. But all you can really say is now that, like I said prior, no matter how good Gillingham were, the unbeaten run was concluded unfairly due to a disallowed goal, which was, fit very, it was a legal goal. There was nothing wrong with the build-up process, but it is what it is, man. And let's just quickly speak about, the gaffer whilst we're here as well, because he was booked after that goal because he was berated by obviously it being disallowed, which is fair enough. Even though, again, he's just doing that off of normal time. But obviously, again, if he was right, so you got to give him that. But not even just the other car showing his fight and his passion himself, but also, let's speak about the mentality of the team, because obviously you made a good point about the fight back, and we've seen it a few times this season, and no doubt we're going to see it a few times more. And last season, that was something we definitely lacked, was a bit of fight and a bit of character. It looks like we've installed it this season. How much do you reckon that mentality, that fight back, that always, never say die attitude is going to stir us on towards good things towards the end of the season? Because one thing that I understand about teams that go up and get promoted is that they have these games where they're behind and they always fought out for a point or fought out for more with 3 points. How do you feel that fight, that character, that desire is gonna stand us in towards the end of the season, not only just towards the end but throughout the whole duration of it?
Yeah, I mean, briefly just on Stuart. It's great to see that that character, talking of character, that little bit of character from him, because I think he gets unfairly criticised sometimes because of post-match he's quite I won't say quiet, but he's quite an unassuming character. Sometimes you might not expect that from him, but he has got that passion. He has got that fight for the club, and showing that with that reaction. In terms of the character within the squad and the whole club as a whole, all 4 teams that went up last season had that spirit, that character, that fight. None of those 4 teams had it easy throughout the season. They all faced adversity throughout. They all went through patches where they lost games. Stockport had that, who were the league champions. They had that run, I think, around the turn of the year where they had a load of injuries and on a poor run. Wrexham had a period where they had a bit of a poor, shaky run. Had a shaky start as well. They lost that first game like we did. Mansfield had that time where it looked like they were going to run away with the league, then they dropped off, and then they snuck over the line in the end. I say snuck over the line, it was, them and McDonald's kind of close, but at the end of the day, they had the character to pick themselves back up and get back into that race. And then Crawley, out of nowhere, put that run together towards the end of the season, and the fighting character they had to beat the predictions of relegation to go all the way to being promoted. So all 4 teams that went up last season from this league didn't have it easy. I know the 3 that went up, the top 3 were the best 3 teams, and it looked quite clear that they were the best. But there were periods, if you look back, go through their results, there were periods where they had struggles. And I'm no doubt that we'll have that this season at some point. There will be. I'm hoping it's not now. I'm hoping that this isn't the first loss in a little run. Let's put it further down the season, further down the line, where we've got a little bit of a cushion, so we can afford to drop a few points. But there will be times when we lose games, whether that be from us dropping points through our poor form, or whether that be decisions going against us like it did today. It's not going to be the last the weekend. Sorry, it's not going to be the last time it happens. So it's what you mentioned there, the character and the fight that we've shown this season. It's so important to have that in a group, and if we want to have promotion aspirations, that's what we need. And it's hard to say that's one of the things that was lacking last season, and that might be the reason why we didn't go up. But it does feel like that because we had the attacking quality. We conceded too many goals, but there were games where we should have got more from. And if we had that same mentality we've got this season, maybe things would have been different. Maybe if we had that mentality during that run when Stuart first came in, and we stopped that run from becoming as bad as it was, maybe we turn things around in time to have something to play for at the end of the season, rather than it being we had absolutely nothing to play for the last few games. So going to be hugely important for us this season because, like I say, any team that gets promoted from this league is never easy, and it's a tough league. I know there's a lot of promotion spots. 4 teams go up, that's massive. But I think it's also one of the hardest leagues to get out of because of how competitive it is. So, we've got to show character, we've got to show fight, and so far this season we've shown that in abundance.
100%, mate. Cannot disagree in the slightest. And I understand your point as well when you say that these promoted teams haven't had it easy because, again, there's 46 games, 46 league games in a season, and to say any promoted side had it's easy it would be quite unfair to say. I think, especially because, again, you could spend as much money as you want, but you're never entitled to win a game of football. You have to earn it. So that's fair. And I think the mentality that we have in the camp this season is definitely we're gonna earn a lot more points and the right to win football matches, which, again, nothing's ever given in football. It don't matter who turns up to play you or who you turn up against to play at a weekend. You have to earn the right to play and the right to win the game, and we did that so well at the start of the season again. Obviously lost on Saturday, but back to winning ways last night, which is the most important thing. And obviously, better Albion away in the EFL Trophy. And one thing I will say is prior is obviously, again, I know it's the EFL Trophy, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, but for me, no matter what cup it is, you go against higher league opposition and you're beating away from home, it's always a good result, and you can take so much away from it, especially if you have the same thing that I do, where the Burton Albion side they fielded to begin the game was stronger than the one that Notts did. So, many positives to take. But obviously, again, as I always like to do when we start talking about something new, is rather than me ask you a question straight away, I'm just going to ask you to deliver your thoughts, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. And I have to say that I have to echo what you said. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and usually it's not really mine. I think last season was definitely the least enjoyable, one of the least enjoyable aspects. This season, however, I've really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed last night. It was a breath of fresh air. It was a great opportunity, like we said earlier, to bounce back quickly after a first defeat. It was really nice to see a young group being used. It was exactly what we should do. We played a nice mix of squad depth. I think that's the biggest difference, is that last season we didn't have the depth. This season we've got really quite a large squad. So, there's a lot of players we haven't seen too much of. A few of them, making first couple of appearances for us last night. So it's nice to see that's exactly the right selection. A mixture of those type of players and youngsters from the academy. Great to see them get an opportunity. Absolutely fantastic. And I really enjoyed it. We had the new orange kit on, which I think looked a lot better than I thought it would. As a small point, but actually quite enjoyed the kit. And like you say, it's away at a team in a higher league, and they're struggling, probably unexpectedly after they had a lot of investment. But it's a game for us to win, and it's the second League One opposition we've played that we've been significantly better than. Well, we've won this one. Obviously, the Shrewsbury game we should have won. And it's really positive signs long term, not just because of the beaten sides that are from the high division, but because of the amount of youngsters involved. And I just thought overall it was really just quite a nice experience to see a completely different group to what we see week in, week out. Gave us a look at the squad as a whole. And those games can be annoying, but when you've got the chance to play a completely new 11, basically, and get fitness up, and like I say, get a chance to see the young players, it was a nice breath of fresh air. That's the best way to describe it. And obviously, whenever you see Notts get a win, it's always nice as well. I'm about to say 3 points, but technically it is 3 points because it's in a group game. But weird competition. But you know what? It's a chance to go to Wembley, isn't it? So I'm not saying we're going to go all the way, but let's hope we can get through the group and continue to use the same squad. I don't want to see us use any of the first teamers in it, but if we can keep playing the youngsters and keep getting people minutes, and we've got players coming back. Obviously, I know we've got a couple out injured already, but if they can come back and get minutes in this competition as well, then it'll be a nice distraction. rather than one that's inconvenient.
Agreed, mate. Agreed. How good is it now that we're in a situation where we can field, almost 2 11s? And obviously, again, last night we had a couple of young lads starting, like Riley Reynolds and Madu Cisse. But at the end of the day, two players that aren't strangers now to the first team setup, you have to say, especially not Riley as well, who had a very good pre-season. And to be fair to him, I'm still surprised he hasn't been sent out on loan. I thought, if anyone out of the young Basher players, I thought he would have been the one, but hasn't been the case yet. Doesn't mean it isn't going to happen. But how good do you think it is now that we can field, an 11 like that for a trophy game? You don't have to risk any of your key players. And to be fair, I don't really like the term key player anymore, because I feel like everyone is a key player in this team. But for the sake of it, we'll just refer to them as key players. Your Jodies, even though obviously took a whack against Gillingham, but that doesn't look as serious as what it first looked, which is why I didn't bring it up, because obviously there's not been no time scale on that sort of on his injury yet, which makes me believe again that it's nothing serious and that he should be okay. But yeah, how good do you think it is that we can now field 2 11s? Because last season the squad depth wasn't there. This season it's definitely there, and when you've got an 11 that can go away to Burton Albion on Tuesday night and get a win, even better. So how good do you think that is, mate?
I think it's brilliant. And I think what's even better is the fact that we've got players out injured. So that second 11 would be even stronger with a couple of the lads that have picked up knocks early. I'm thinking, Kelvin Scott, for example, or, Curtis Edwards, out for a little bit. Obviously out until Christmas he is, but it's just a shame. And hopefully he had a really positive start to his knocks career. But we still managed to put out a really strong team despite not playing those first team. Those first teams on the team sheet. And also, despite the fact that those injuries, and also a mention of Aidan Stone, who's gone out on loan to Boston, wishing him the best of luck there. Again, another player who shows us the depth we've got in the squad. A third choice goalkeeper is now going out on loan to a National League team, only one league below, and is the first choice there. So shows the depth we've got in the squad. And I thought that the team we put out was relatively strong. I think that it wouldn't be a million miles off of a lot of League Two teams, and that sounds crazy to say, but there are certain teams in this division who would snap your hand off to have some of those players in their team. And I thought the two youngsters that started, Reynolds and Cisse, for me, they're the two. Well, it sounds easy to say it because they're the two that started. But if you had to ask me who's the biggest prospect at the club, or someone I'd like to see more involved in the first team, it would have been Lucien Mahovo, obviously sold. But Reynolds, I thought, had a really good pre-season, like you say, and looked really good, and probably suffers from the fact that we've signed so many midfielders. Otherwise, I think he'd be in and around the squad more. And that's why I agree with you. I'm surprised he's not gone out on loan, because he's probably not going to get in the first team apart from this competition. But Madu Cisse is a player I've liked for quite a while now. What I like about him is his versatility. He can play in midfield or at wing back, as we saw, or even at centre back. I saw him in a friendly before. He's really strong athletically. He doesn't look like he's a boy playing with men. He looks like he can hold his own. And I think that I was really glad to see him involved, because he's a player I've wanted to see more of before and hasn't quite had the opportunity. So to see those two, but especially Madu Cisse, get that chance, and obviously took his chance. He looked really good. Played a part in a couple of really good chances for Conor Grant, which we'll talk about, and obviously as well the second goal. I thought he was really good. So yeah, I think overall, to answer your original question, I've gone on a bit of a tangent there, but to answer your original question, it's great to have 2 11s and more that can play a part of the season, because we've said it before, it's a squad game, and I think this season that'll prove to be true.
100% agree, mate. I feel you have so many players in that team last night who, obviously, you could easily take a claim for the weekend. Obviously, you had your likes of Conor Grant and Lewis McCurry, who came on. They're two players you expect to see start at the weekend, but there's so many good performances. Callum Gordon getting his first goal, which we'll come on to. Actually, we'll come on to right now, to be fair, because obviously you had the chance prior with obviously Madu Cisse, as we just spoken about, getting down the right, putting in a ball for Conor Grant, who should score, to be fair. But, chance comes early on in the game, you can kind of excuse it. Who didn't waste his opportunity to score? Obviously, Callum Gordon, who, was a threat all night long, to be fair, until his substitution. But yeah, it was very good to see, something like that from Kellen, because obviously he's a player that you've had to manage his minutes so far due to him coming in with a slight injury. But a very, very nicely taken goal, nice curl into the far bottom corner. And I think it's very refreshing to see as well because, Kellen's someone that I think will play a big part for us this season as he builds his match fitness up and up and up. And I always speak about not being lopsided, and what I mean by that is when Joey's on the pitch, you don't want to be predictable. You don't want to just keep going down that side, which is what we tried a lot last season. And to see your right wing back, or your right back, your full back, who's probably going to play in that position once he's fully match fit, cut in and bend one into the bottom corner like that is a very good sign for the future of the team. But yeah, Kellen was brilliant last night, I thought. And as always, I'd like to get yours.
Yeah, well, what I liked about it was he came in from the left and scored, and that's just that sort of inverted wing back, or not inverted wing backs because that's like where they play in midfield, but like wing backs play on the opposite side and then come in and shoot seems to be working this season. And I think the idea was tried last season and didn't work, but they persisted with it because they have got an idea, the management team, and they want it to work. And I think they deserve credit and praise for sticking with something that others might have got rid of because it didn't work straight away. And Kellen Gordon gives that other element on the other side. Of course, he could play on the right, where he was signed, I guess, to play, and he's going to really excite him there. But yeah, really pleased to see him get a goal, get that confidence, get those minutes, and I think he's got a really big part to play this season. For me, he had to pick a best 11, and everyone's fully fit. He goes in, so really, really excited by that, and really glad for him. And just to mention the chance for Conor Grant, not to. Yeah, like you say, it's a chance early on, a little bit like Nick Cerullo at the weekend. But obviously, if the result was different last night, you're probably talking about the Conor Grant miss in the same way we did the Nick Cerullo one. And for me, it's not necessarily a start on Grant. It's more praise for Sam Austin, who we'll speak about. Obviously, gets the goal. Does he force his way into the team? I think he's probably pushing for Conor Grant's place. If you look at who he's going to get in the team over, Conor Grant's probably the man with the target on his back for Sam Austin to chase. And I think last night was probably, in terms of that race for the starting position, obviously Conor Grant is ahead right now and is that starter. But last night, Sam Austin probably closed that gap, not only because he scored the goal himself, but Conor Grant had that miss as well. And maybe maybe a slight beat off the pace a little bit. But overall, yeah, to talk about the goal, brilliant finish, wasn't it, Kellen Gordon? Lovely curling effort, if you like. But yeah, great goal.
Agreed. Definitely agree. And I like the point you made about Sam Austin. But before we get on to Sam, let's talk about Rod McDonald very quickly, who obviously made his first 45 minutes for a club last night. And to say he was outstanding would be a massive understatement because he didn't put a single foot wrong all half. And he looked like he could have continued playing, to be quite truthfully honest. But, obviously the plan was always to get him half. And he got half in, he was very good. And I always said about Rod McDonald that Notts wouldn't have paid a fee for someone they were just going to bring in to make up a number. He's not going to. And his performance last night proved that to me. That ain't a player who's coming here to make up a number. That's a player that's coming here to start football matches. And I don't want to say he's put anyone on notice, but there'll be, your Matty Patch, your Jacob Edwards, Lewis McCoy. I looked at that and thought, well, he's not coming here to play around. He's going to want to take my space, and that's what you want. That's all about the competition in the team now. But yeah, Rod McDonald was absolutely outstanding. And as for opening 45 minutes, I don't think you could ask for a better start, could you?
No, definitely not. I thought he looked pure class. I thought he looked every bit of experience that he's got. You could tell he's got that, but he used class, I thought, and unexpectedly so. When he signed, a lot of people told us probably that he's going to be a great headache kick at centre-back, but, on the ball, or we're not sure about that. Well, last night he stepped in, he brought that ball out from the back, drove into space, and then sprayed a 35, 40-yard diagonal and you can't do that if you're not got quality. You're not a quality footballer. He looked superb. Physically, he looked strong. He looked big. He looked quite quick as well. Like travel with the ball well, confident. Has that, like I said, that experience organising that back line, and I think that he goes straight in as the sort of first choice backup, if you like. And I know it's not where he wants to be right now. I think only based on a couple of things. One, he's only played a half, so we can't get too carried away. But I thought he was superb. Still needs to get that fitness up. Still needs to build the minutes up. But also based on the fact that we've spoken about it before, but don't really want that back three being messed with too much. We tampered with it against Bromley and it backfired. I think unless we have to, for now, let's stick with the back three. But Rob McDonald, like I said about closing the gap, I think he's overtaken a couple. Unfortunately for Robbie Cundy, I think he's overtaken him with that 45 minutes. And that's what competition with places is all about. The squad, you're pushing each other all the time. But yeah, if anything happens to Matty Platt, I think before I was severely worried out of that back three. Probably that's the position you think the most of. But Rob McDonald would slot straight in there, no problem. Needs to get his fitness up so he can play more than a half. But once he does, like you say, we've not paid a fee for him for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to pay a fee for just anyone. So I think he's a really good signing, and I liked what I saw from him a lot.
Again, I'm not here to disagree. I'm here to agree completely. I was surprised by just how quick he was as well. He was very, quick across the floor. Proper pacey centre half as well, which is something that I didn't see once that he was credited for when he first joined. So it's promising signs, mate. And like you say, it's all about bridging the gap now. Well, I definitely wouldn't, play with the back three. I think the Bromley game showed that you can't really do that at the minute. But yeah, like I said, he ain't here to make up a number, mate. He's here to play football, and I hope that's the same for Lucas Ness when he comes into the team, which I've no doubt that will be the same. But yeah, moving on, obviously into the second goal, and that was obviously scored by Sam Austin. Brilliant work from Chickson to get down to the byline, which is something I don't think Chickson gets enough credit for, to be fair, because we don't play a lot anymore. But when he does, it's always 100%, no matter the competition, and you've got to respect him for that. Plays a good ball over to the back post. Obviously, Maddy Cisse has a shot. Cannon's back off the post, and up steps Sam Austin to slam the ball home. And if there's one biggest Sam Austin fan who's speaking right now, I will die on the hill that he is the most. I don't know. He's the most. His height. I don't know how to explain it. Hey, he's the most 100% footballer you'll ever meet. I think that's the best way I can put it. Like, there's never a time where he's not giving 100% effort, and I don't just mean now. Even towards the end of last season, when things weren't going, too well on the pitch, if there's one player that you could have walked away from every game and said, you know what, he's put heart and soul out on that football pitch, not Scotty, it was Sam Austin. And I think he's massively important to the team, and as what would have been on Saturday would have proven that, and obviously last night, which turned out to be the match winner. So he could have been a match winner twice in a matter of 3 days, which again highlights his importance. But again, Sam Austin, brilliant footballer. Don't get me wrong. Again, someone I don't think who quite gets the flowers he deserves. But rather than me explain why, I'll let you give me your thoughts, my friend.
Yeah, I think you've hit spot on about 100%, and that's why we love him. He's like, I don't want to give him a disservice when I say he's like one of us playing, because obviously he's football quality-wise, he's far superior. I'm not saying that, but what I mean by that is, he looks like I know he doesn't support the club, but he comes across like he's been brought up a Notts fan, because like he gives everything. He gives everything for that shirt. Even if he has a bad game, when he has a bad game, which every player has a bad game or off game, you don't ever complain when he comes off, because you go, you know what, didn't work for him today, but he gave everything. He's not for a lack of trying. He always gives 100%, like you said, and he's actually the same for every competition as well. And that's why he gets those goals in the cup competitions, because he approaches and attacks every single game like it's the same, and he gives absolutely everything. And that is why we love him. That's why he's a bit of a I don't want to say a cult hero, but he's a player that if you asked a lot of Notts fans who's your favourite player, he'd be right in the mix, even alongside, even over the last 2-3 years, including this one. The last 3 years he's been here, he'd be right up in that mix. If you said who's the Notts player you associate with that period or who you love the most, Sam Austin's name would get mentioned because he just plays with his heart on his sleeve, and he has got the quality to back it up as well. Got a goal last night, first to react, quickest to react. And what I think about Sam Austin is it kind of matches up with his work rate and his work ethic. Is the fact that he is so versatile, and so he is almost a victim of that. He can play in so many different positions. I think probably his preferred one would be where Conor Grant is playing right now, and that's why I think he's going to be fighting for that shirt. But what's great about Sam Austin, like you said last season, we needed someone to step up into that midfield. He did it. We needed someone to step up at wing back at times last season when we were on that good run at the start of the campaign. He stepped in at right wing back. So there's nothing he won't do, and I think you have to love him for that because he is a hard worker. He's a very good footballer, and I do believe if he doesn't deserve to start his weekend, I think he's pushing for it. I'd like to see him get more minutes. I'm going to be honest, not just based on this performance, just based on his last 2.5 bit seasons at the club. I've always thought that he deserves more minutes, and he's been unlucky. When Ruben went, it felt like he'd step up. Dan Crowley arrived, and fair enough, he's not going to get in ahead of Dan Crowley. But I would love to see Sam Austin start more games for this football club because, I think he's a great player and a great character.
You and me both, my friend. But for as long as we're doing well, I'll say it, mate. I'm not too fussy with starts at a weekend. Like, for as long as we're winning games of football, you could start the academy team if they're winning games for all I care. But speaking of which, then obviously it's probably the perfect way to end the segment of the Burton game. But it's by speaking about the academy team. Obviously we've had 2 players spoken about already, Reynolds and Cisse, but there was also 3 other lads as well. Most notably, I think excuse me if I butcher his surname, but I think it's Cameron Muir. Could be wrong. If it is, I do apologise. Obviously, again, he's not someone that many people have a lot of knowledge of, other than the fact that he is Notts County's youngest ever, you'd say, professional footballer now at 15 years old, which is absolutely mental. But congratulations to him because that's not by fluke. You didn't get handpicked. It's obviously down to the hard work, and when you've got that at such a young age, you've got a big future ahead of you. But a massive achievement for himself. But not only that, for the academy team as well, top 5 of their own, in the team last night, speaks volumes of the work that they're doing, of course, but it also speaks a lot of volume of what Craig, Matty and Stu are doing with the academy team, with, getting him in and around training. We knew, obviously, that Reynolds and Cisse were through pre-season as well, but it sounds as though all of them are taking a good part. With obviously Cameron having to miss 2 days of school to train with the first team, which obviously is probably the biggest flex you could tell anyone today. But 5 academy products is massive. It is brilliant, and to just wrap it up, let me get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, mate. Obviously, all 5 of them, massive well done to all 5, and to the academy team and to the coaching staff. But just wanted to focus on Cameron, who, again, apologies if I said his name wrong, but again, like you say, it's not a name we've come across until really yesterday. His name pops up. There were sort of murmurings that maybe there'd be a surprise selection, and he was the one. He made his debut last month. Last month, still in September. Last month, August, he made his debut for the B team at the age of 14. Turned 15 that month. So he's not just as he's 15, but he's only just turned 15. And of course, as well, he'd be one of the youngest in his age group because of the fact he's born in August and the way that our academic system works. Is he's one of the youngest in the year. So the fact that he's playing up so many levels is unbelievable. I thought that obviously only very, very brief viewing of him, but looked good in the short time he was on the pitch. And I think that the fact that he's 15, again, you can't say that enough because that is a ridiculously, makes me feel really old. I don't know about you, it makes me feel really, really old. There's a lad that, he's quite a bit younger than us, and we're both obviously young lads ourselves. So incredible for him. Another Notts player that made his debut at 15, Jermaine Pennant, and obviously what a career he went on to have, played in the Champions League final and things like that. So obviously big, not trying to put the pressure on me there, but saying big shoes to fill there with that kind of career. But the talent is clearly there to be in and around a professional setup at that age, at any club. Never mind Notts County. I did see sort of some people murmuring that maybe there's a interest in him from higher clubs, and that's why we've got him on the pitch so that we can get more money, etc. Because he's made an appearance, and it wouldn't surprise me. Like, end of the day, losing Mahoba went to Norwich over the summer, so clearly our B team or academy team is clearly being watched by scouts and people from academies higher up. That's clearly happening. So if that is the case, then obviously it's fantastic for the club that we're producing talent that is getting eyes on our academy. But the ideal scenario is that he gets a pathway to the first team and he plays a lot of games for this football club. And to be the youngest player for the oldest professional club in the world is some record and some feat. And I did also read that if he plays this weekend, I think he'll be the youngest professional league player ever if he gets on against Morecambe. So let's hope that happens. Just for I don't want people to play not on merit. Of course, he needs to be in that team because he's earned that in training, and which of course he'd be putting 100% in. But like, what a feat that is, and there's not that many. Obviously, we've broken a lot of records over the last 2 and a bit seasons at this football club, but there's not many records that can be broken at this club because of the length of time, etc. And that is one that he's just gone and broken by being the youngest ever player. So huge congratulations to him. Huge congratulations to all 5 lads, everyone involved with the academy. It's a huge badge of honour for them to see those youngsters succeed in the first team.
100%, mate. 100%. And yeah, you weren't wrong when you said it makes you feel old. I mean, Jesus, I'm 22 myself, and seeing someone 7 years younger than you come on the pitch is a bit mental, to be fair. But I say fair play to him, and long may it continue. And if it is the way that we're going about it, obviously interest from above, and we get him on the pitch to get more money, and very smart, very, very smart. But we'll see what happens with that. It's something that I'm sure will be revisited and throughout the season. So we'll see. But I feel like it's a perfect way to wrap it up. But before we do, there's something I want to almost congratulate you for, and that's being nominated for Best Influencer of the Year. Although, I don't think you claim to be an influencer, but mate, the praise is the praise. You don't get that off of nothing, and you're in there with some good people as well. You Romanos, who, to be fair, you are probably the non-league version of him, to be fair to yourself. But I think, obviously, we've spoken as me, you and Char, attending anyway to the FCAs, and if we do that, that'll be amazing. But what would be even more better than anything would be to see you win that award, mate. So obviously, I wish you the best luck with it, and I wanted to make sure we plugged it not only for you to get the opportunity to speak about it, but to make sure that people were voting for you, because, my opinion, mate, and this ain't even being unbiased, you deserve it. So, massive congratulations, mate, and I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, well, just thank you for that. I wasn't expecting you actually to bring it up, but thank you. And I'm sure we'll have the voting stuff below, so Charlie will sort that out. If he's watching this back, producer Charlie, thank you if you do. And thank you to anyone that does vote. I'll be honest, if you look at the category I'm in, and the people I'm against, I've probably got very little chance of winning there. But any vote, I'm sure, will go a long way and help. And not just that, I just appreciate every single one that supports not just me, but the podcast as well. Of the people watching this, if you've got this far, you're a true listener. You've got all the way to here, and always appreciate that. And that's something I've been really proud of over the last year. And obviously, not only being nominated for the award, but being part of the podcast and watching it grow. And another thing to mention, I'm sure you're going to, but just to bring it back to the pod, 500 subscribers, obviously hit that milestone. We're massively, massively grateful and thankful. The last few episodes have been some of our best, I think, in terms of interaction with fans and getting comments. Some of the comments we've got, we always read them, but the last few episodes, we've been really, really pleased with the feedback we're getting on the episodes is brilliant. That we're into a new season and we're still getting people really enjoying the episodes, and we're back consistently posting and producing the content, which I'm really happy about. So, like I say, thank you to anyone who votes, but thank you for people that have subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. It's free to do, and it helps us out. And we appreciate every single one of you. And if you do subscribe, you'll be one of the people that we shout out every week, and we say, as we head towards another milestone, hopefully. Long way to go, but halfway to 1,000, that's massive for us, and we really appreciate that. So all the support that you guys have given, it's all love from us. So thank you.
Couldn't say it any better myself, and rather than saying it all again, obviously I echo Tom's thoughts, but please do make sure you vote for him as well, because like I said, he deserves it. There's no doubt about that. You don't have the rise that you've had without, good and hard work, mate. So you have to respect it, and I am very much hopeful that you do win it, because like I said, there was always a plan for myself, yourself and Charlie to be there, but what would make it even better if you won it, mate, and that would be amazing. So hopefully it'll happen, but until then, all we can do is keep turning out podcasts, and like you say, it's good to be back, man, uploading regularly, and we'll see what happens in the future. But there's obviously massive guests coming up. Obviously we haven't said any names yet, but to be fair, there's a massive clue if you read between the lines as to why it hasn't happened yet. That's what I can say. Someone will work it out after I've said that. If you've got this far, I've no doubt. But there's a massive clue. But obviously we're not going to say a name yet. But until then, thank you very much for watching. A massive thank you for 500 subscribers. And we'll see you in the next one. Come on, you magpies.